Во тема на денот, како што најавив, разговарам со британскиот амбасадор Метју Лосон. Good evening, Ambassador. Thank you for being here this evening.
Благодарам за поканата. Thanks. It's great to be here on your show.
Ambassador, your country has been a great advocate for Macedonia's membership in the NATO alliance. It's been a tough process for us. It hasn't been easy, but it's been 4 years since we have joined the alliance. Now only that time after the full membership, the former Minister of Defense, Radmila Šekerinska, has been appointed Deputy Secretary General of these powerful organizations. Does that have significance in your own opinion?
So thanks very much again for inviting me on the show. It's a great privilege to be here. I think it's excellent for North Macedonia, and I think it's excellent for NATO. If we take a step back and think about what NATO means, it started as 12 democracies facing against the threat from the Soviet Union, has grown today into 32 democracies, a beacon of liberty really, protecting over 1 billion people. So to have former Defence Minister Šekerinska, a senior female politician and leader in her own right, selected on merit to be one of the leaders of this organisation, I think is really significant and really positive. It's really positive for the country. I'm sure it'll be positive for the visibility and reputation of North Macedonia, and also for NATO, because she's highly qualified for the role. And what I think is fantastic also is that you have a senior female leader in NATO. And as a partner, as the UK working together with North Macedonia, what partnership means is, in a certain sense, the 32 countries of NATO will be looking to North Macedonia for leadership. And I think this is what becoming a member of an organisation like NATO means. So I think it's fantastic. And I do want to just say, I think also, to give credit to the government, I think it was a very statesmanlike move by the government to cross the parliamentary floor, as we would say, and support Ms. Šekerinska in her candidacy. She's selected obviously on merit, but I think it says a lot about the government that they were able to do that. So congratulations to them for that.
NATO is facing great challenges, especially regarding the Russian aggression in Ukraine. The threats and intimidations of possible use of nuclear weapons are rising. Is the alliance strong enough and certain that it can support Ukraine and prevent a global war?
I think it's a really excellent question, Slavica. Look, so to answer this straight, I mean, it's been over 1,000 days now since Russia's illegal and unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. And what NATO has done is to step up to support Ukraine in its sovereign right under the UN Charter to defend itself against this aggression. Now, I have absolutely no doubt that NATO, its beacon of liberty, protecting over 1 billion people with over 500,000 troops at combat readiness, is more than ready to face the challenge. I think in terms of what it means for Europe, and for the Western Balkans, it's clear that over the last year we have seen a rise in what we would call hybrid threats. So these are things like cyber attacks. We've seen a rise in disinformation. We've seen a rise in meddling in elections to try and weaken our democracies and our democratic systems. And I think this is what the UK is doing here in partnership with North Macedonia to counter some of those threats, to work with you on cybersecurity, to work with civil society, with journalists, to look at where the disinformation is coming from and address the disinformation so that people can have access to the truth, and we can debunk some of these myths that are being propagated. NATO is a defensive organisation. It doesn't threaten anybody, but it is there to defend us and our democracies, and that's what we're doing in partnership with you.
Yes, well, Macedonia has been long aspiring for EU membership also, as you know, which is once again blocked by our neighbouring country, Bulgaria in this case. This time it is the constitutional changes that are an obstacle to opening chapters with the European Union. How does Great Britain view this situation at the moment?
So our position as Great Britain is it is the sovereign right of North Macedonia to seek to join the European Union. It's very clear to me that the large majority of citizens want to join, and it's also very clear that the government wants to join and make progress and has a plan for that. I mean, I think I acknowledge the tension in being asked as British ambassador, a country that's left the European Union, about joining the European Union, but a couple of perspectives might help your viewers kind of understand our experience and what's at stake. I mean, the first thing to say is that for the British experience way back in 1961 is it takes a long time to join the European Union. We applied for membership in 1961. We didn't get full membership until 1973. So that's 12 years at a time when the EU was a lot less complicated than it is now. So I think the first thing from our perspective is just that this is a lengthy, sometimes frustrating and difficult process, but the gains are significant, I would argue, for your country. The second point that I want to sort of emphasize is that along the way it's really important to keep to the agreements that have been made. We've had two really important agreements. We've had the Prespa agreement, which unlocked the NATO membership, and then the EU agreement that required very difficult compromises on both sides to come up with a solution for moving forward to the fundamentals cluster, which is constitutional change, as you said. I think it's clearly a compromise made by both sides, and being able to find a way forward is what the government's committed to do, and the UK government absolutely supports them in finding the right way to do that. I think in terms of what's on offer, speaking as the second largest investor in this country, I think it's worth emphasising the nature of the growth plan, which would give Macedonian companies and international companies based here access to the European single market, which is the single market, 450 million people. It's a significant opportunity. So British businesses headquartered here are very positive about that. And that, for a government and for a country that wants to see economic growth, the growth plan is a really important component of that. So there's a lot on offer from the European Union here. So British position is to support your sovereign choice to join.
Yes, you mentioned the growth plan. It's linked to reforms. Also, Great Britain has been supporting reforms in our country for decades. What do you put the emphasis on? What do you think it's key that we do at home so that we start living as Europeans and not only aspiring to become part of the European Union?
It's a great question. I think, so again, as a company with a strong trade and investment presence here, 2.6 billion is our trade relationship. Actually, over half of all British trade and investment in the Western Balkans is with North Macedonia. So you're an important trading partner for us. So I speak on behalf of British businesses who are based here, who trade and operate here. I think the first is obviously the rule of law. To have only 30% of citizens with trust in the rule of law, with trust that the system, the judicial system will work effectively is an issue. We're working with your institutions, with other key partners to address that. But to rule of law and the respecting of contracts and agreements and having a system that is free of corruption is vital for business investment. And so I think this is the first and most important challenge that the country has. I think other things that we've talked about, ensuring that the pillars of democracy are strengthened and are in place, particularly at this difficult time in Europe. So we work with government, we work with civil society, particularly on countering disinformation, on cyber threats, and on strengthening democracy. I'm particularly delighted that a flagship program, the National Development Strategy, which is implemented by the UN, which gives you a long-term planning tool, not just for government, but for civil society to engage with, young people to engage with, has also been adopted by all the parties in Parliament. So I think that hopefully the British contribution that we make to strengthening your democracy and to strengthening your institutions is, I hope, a very positive one.
What are the bilateral relations mostly focused on at the moment between Macedonia and Great Britain?
So, as I've said, trade. You're a very, very important trading partner for us. I'm very excited by the growth in the trade relationship. I think we have companies, range of companies here or wanting to do business here, all kinds of sectors from high tech, IT, to high-tech manufacturing, to mining companies, to consumer durables. We have a fantastic array of companies who are either here doing business or want to do business. That's the first thing. Second, security and defence. We're supporting training your military up to its first operational deployment on NATO's eastern flank. We support military-to-military training. We're also building the capability of your institutions, and we've built in partnership with your government, a NATO Coordination Council, which brings all the institutions of government together to coordinate NATO policy. So, and the last component, which I want to talk about, is really supporting civil society. In particular, we have a global campaign on women and girls with three aims. The first is education, particularly supporting women to achieve their potential and girls to achieve their potential in education, and particularly in non-traditional subjects such as science, technology, maths. young woman wants to become a data scientist or wants to become a cyber specialist, we want to help support that journey. The second component is supporting them with economic empowerment, career advice, supporting them to become everything that they can be. And the third component is tackling violence against women and girls, which is a really important and live issue in my country and here. And I feel really passionate about this agenda as a father of an 18-year-old girl starting her way currently at university. I think this is a global campaign, but it's also a personal campaign. I think this is something we really can work together on. It's a hugely positive agenda.
Yeah, you're supporting the campaign 16 Days Against Violence Against Women and Girls. What should governments do? What should our government do to tackle this big issue?
So I think it's a brilliant initiative. You've seen, I think, in the last week, several other international partners, the OSCE, the UN, all starting to define and open their own campaigns. Our campaign works alongside that. We really want to tackle gender-based violence across the country. I think in general, what's really important is that women and girls don't need men to speak for them. I think we're past that point, but they do need men to speak up for the rights of women and girls, for the rights for gender equality, for the rights to be protected. And I think this is something that's very important for men to do as well as for women to do. And I hope that we use this platform of the 16 Days of Activism to do that. In terms of practical support against, in terms of tackling gender-based violence, we're working with civil society to support those affected by it. We're working with judicial organisations, with the police to look at ways to strengthen prosecutions. All the things in all the components of tackling this is something that we support. So it's a really important campaign.
Yes, it's good to finish this interview with that note and with that message. Thank you very much for being with us this evening.
Thanks so much. It's been a great pleasure to be here.
Thank you.